We are live on there, and we're going live. Hey everyone on YouTube, what is up? Hey everyone on YouTube, what is up?
I just heard an echo.
Yeah, right. Hi everyone, it is Friday night.
I just heard an echo.
Yeah, right. So, okay, we are live. Hey everyone, date night with Mr. B, and we're doing things a little bit differently today. We got Mrs. B out of town. She's all the way where? Where are you at?
In Illinois.
Yeah, she's out there working, but we were able to make this work out where we were able to bring both of us together. See, now in the past, what did we do? When you were out of town, I did date night with
You're
Mr.
by
B
yourself.
by
Yep.
myself.
Yep.
Now, of course, I'm in my lonely in the studio, but I got to see Mrs. B's smiling face. So hey everybody, welcome to Date Night with Mr. and the Mrs. B. And we're gonna get right into it because this one, I say this about every time, but there was actually a connection with last week's episode. Who can tell me what they remember about last week's episode? That's a quiz. We're gonna touch on that a little bit, but that's just keeping you guys on your toes to see if you know what the last episode was. But tonight's episode is why settle? Why settle? So I know a lot of people's minds was probably thinking, oh, why settle with the person that you're with? No, no, no. This is not where we're going with. So we're going to talk about the settling as far as settling down and the
Yes.
power of the language, right? So, how many people now here's how this came about, okay? And I have clients and because of confidentiality, we don't go too much deeper, but we can give you a framework, right? And you have a couple where maybe one of them was used to party and hang out, go to the nightclub, used to have a good time, used to maybe even travel a little bit. Um, you know, just didn't want to do the
Just
whole
enjoy life and not
enjoying life the way
and
that
not
they
being
know
in
how to.
or being in relationships, you
Right?
know?
You were there at one point, right?
That's right. I was like, let's live it up. I don't want nothing serious. I don't want nothing to tie me down.
Right, right.
That's
So,
exactly how I thought.
and then she met me,
That's
but
a whole different show, Mr. B.
but the language wasn't quite that same. So now most of the times you have couples like that, and most of the times it comes from the parents or some elders, and it's amazing how that language just keeps being passed down through time. And the language is, honey, why don't you just stop all this partying and hanging out and settle down and get married or something? And
Or they
here,
would say, "Don't you think that you're old enough to start settling
yes,
down?"
that's the other thing. Grow up. Why don't you grow up and settle down? And what do you think is going to happen when you preface a marriage or a relationship with settling down? What do you think is going to happen? You're not setting yourself up for something great. Now, how about changing the words? You know, why don't you embark in a new adventure, a new journey, a new experience of marriage? You know, experience something new and different. But don't try to get that person to stop what it is they're doing, what they deem as fun, and use marriage as a form of settling down. Why settle down? Why we got to use that language? Now, clearly, if I'm in a relationship, well, I am in a marriage, um, and Mrs. B liked to go out and she has certain things she liked to do. If I don't agree with it, I can still be friends with her, but I shouldn't be trying to get into a marriage or a serious relationship if I want her to stop that. It means you're not really willing to accept that person for who they are, right? And it's interesting, we had previous episodes similar to that. Remember that about changing people and all that stuff?
Yep.
You know,
Molding people to how you
molding.
like them.
I know how much
The
you like
word
that word.
molding.
But um hold on one sec. Um let's see. Okay, so we talked about last week when we talked about qualifying and re-qualifying your partner or your relationship. That's one of the things that comes into play with this about the settling down, you know, because if you got into a relationship where the relationship was a means of settling down, um, chances are that negativity is already injected into the relationship. So what you probably want to do is requalify that word and put a new spin on what the relationship really is. You know, we're on this journey, we're on this new adventure, and maybe revisit some of the things that that person really enjoyed when they were single before they met you. Maybe. Because chances are you really, if you wanted that person to change. Now, here's the spin-off on that, right? What's the other thing they tell people to settle down and do, Mrs. B?
I don't
Settle
know.
down,
What do they?
settle down
Besides getting married.
and have what?
Oh, and settle down and have kids.
Yeah. A lot of times the parents are like that. They're like,
It's time for
uh,
you to have some kids.
give me some grandkids. And it comes from the
Grandkids,
parents
yeah.
too. Yeah. You know, why don't you settle down? You know, you guys are always partying. You guys are always hanging out. You're always drinking, hanging out at the bar or whatever, whatever. Why don't you guys settle down and give me some grandkids? How many
And
of
you
you
know
have heard
what?
that before?
I want everybody to know something. You know it's true. And I say this because we are not picking on anybody. These are the facts. These are true things that happen to real people that on a daily, even on young folks as of right now,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So it's a real good question.
And you know, it's you know, I know it in my previous marriage. It happened with me. You know, where marriage was a form of settling down. You know, you guys are hanging out, or you guys. I mean, people think about it. People seem to have a problem with people either hanging out at the bars, drinking, traveling, partying, you know, whatever. What's so wrong about partying and having a good time on the
Exactly.
weekends?
Okay, so what's wrong with having adventure? You know, what's wrong with hanging out, doing something new, you know? You know, if you really think about it, sometimes when you get into a relationship, quite honestly, sometimes your other partner may not be that adventurous as
Yeah,
you know?
opposites
And
attract.
yeah, opposites attract. That's totally true between Mr. B and myself. Like totally. You know, but you really have to think about that, you know, and sometimes the pressure is on when it comes to family members. And I know because I've heard this so many times, especially like in the Hispanic community. That is really big.
Well, the Caribbean and many of the
Now the
other,
Caribbean,
yeah, the
yeah, you're
cultures, you
right.
know, so many cultures, you know,
Very similar.
settling down is always attributed to marriage and or a serious relationship, or you know, and even sometimes you might be in a serious relationship, right? You're just dating each other, and even then the elders, they throw the word at you. You guys been dating for so long, why it's time for you guys to settle down
When are
and
you going
get
to get
married.
married?
Yeah.
¿Cuándo se van a casar? ¿Cuándo van a tener hijos? ¿Cuándo me van a dar?
Yeah.
Nietos. Nietos is
Yep.
grandkids in
Uh-huh.
Spanish.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, get married and give me some grandkids, and you know, but what is a marriage going to look like when you get into it knowing that that's your form of settling down? And what do you think is going to happen down the line when you are married now and it's 8 years? Do you know the average time that a marriage lasts when they start getting into rocky road is between the 10 and 15-year mark? Many times a couple, one or the other, or sometimes both of them at the same time, because yeah, there are some of the marriages that end amicably. However, what do you think is going to happen if, let's say, for instance, I used to be, I used to work at you remember the bar, Baja Beach Club? You remember a club called Baja Beach
Hmm.
Club? Okay. So let's say, in my days when I was buffed and stuff, I was one of the guys that was on the bar with the shirt off and all that stuff. You know, Now, what do you think is going to happen if I got married to settle down to get out of that life? And now sometimes it's not just being
You mean you're
told
not gonna
that.
look as buff and sexy and dance for me? Are you
Exactly.
kidding me?
But at some point you're going to look back, or at some point you'll travel somewhere and you'll see a setting similar like that, and you'll be like, man, I used to do that back in the day. Man, I
There's a
miss
lot
that.
of that. That happens quite a bit of times. Yeah.
you know and then you
Yeah.
look at your partner and you said, this is my life now, this is what I settled down to live. I could have been, if I had continued doing what I'm doing now. Some of us we do it to ourselves. Think about it. Hey, I'm getting older, so I don't have quite the body I used to have back in the day. Or, it's time for me. So we do it to ourselves sometimes. It's time for me to settle down and get married and maybe start a family. Look at all the negative things that you put around something as beautiful as bringing life into this world and raising a family, settling down. So sometimes you have some parents that look at their kids and have resentment towards them because having kids was a means of settling down. And they did it for the grandparents, and they did it. And I know, right? This topic is going to hit a sensitive nerve for a lot of people because many of us, I didn't say many of you, many of us are guilty of it at some point, have been guilty about it. And the reason why, full transparency, yeah, we've all done it before. We've all heard it before. And even when we have heard it, none of us ever really spoke up against it and said, why is it got to be something? Why you got to put it like settling down? I'm getting older. It's time for me to settle down and get into a relationship. I don't want to be in a relationship with somebody that wanted to settle down. I'm telling you right now, if I realize somewhere down the line that you got into marrying me because you felt you needed to settle down, I'm going to have a problem with that, because it also means that you settled for what? For
For
me.
me, for
Exactly.
that one person.
Exactly. You could have had your choice of anybody. But if you chose marriage because you were getting older, you don't have the same body you used to have, you gained some weight, you did whatever the situation was, you decided to settle down. You also settled for me. And that don't make me feel very special, And what do we all look for? What do we all look for in our lives? Significance, and that we matter. We want to feel
Yes.
special, As a matter of fact, I did a post early on this week, right? You are significant. You might matter. Just thought you should know. But here's the thing: when someone settled into a relationship, how is that going to feel anyway? Like I'm special, like I'm, significant. I was just the right person at the right time when you decided to settle down and get married. Now, I'm not saying that you don't love the person, but think of the language of how we use. So let's start changing that language. What are some of the examples we can change that language to?
I don't know. What are they, Mr. B?
How about
Not
let's
settling.
exactly not
That's the
settling.
first one. Not settling.
How
And
about let's embark on a new journey? Let's embark on a new adventure together. You know, um, you guys are creative. You guys are smart. You guys can come up with a whole bunch of other ways, and put it in the chat. You know, definitely come up with some ideas. Let's start changing that language and eliminating that word settling down or growing up when we speak about adults. Time to
or
grow
let's
up.
grow or let's grow together.
Yes. Yes. I
How about
like that
that?
one. I like that one. Because that, you know why I like that one so much? Because
Because you say it all the time.
I say, if you're not growing together,
You're
you will
growing
grow
apart.
apart, you
Yes.
know? So on, with that, you got to come up with some new things regarding marriage. So Mrs. B, what are you going to leave us with? Always leave us
Everybody,
with it.
everybody love up on each other.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So
All the way from
everyone,
Illinois, everybody. I love
yes,
you.
and Mr.
And I
B,
miss
all the
and
way
I
here in
miss
Orlando.
Mr. B. Lots and lots and lots.
I miss you too, baby. All right.
All right.
Well, we will talk to you guys at another time, and till the next time we meet up. Next week we'll be doing this again, right?
Yep, we will.
All
The next
righty.
two because I'm not coming home to Mother's Day.
Yep. Yep. All righty, my dear.
Good
Have a good one.
night.
Okay, and we are still live. We are still live. And we stop recording. And